This is a great question. We're going to have to think through this, okay, because there's no hard or fast rule other than what is existing in the realm of reasonable and appropriate, okay? But you can make that argument on your IEP team. Are there any rules on substitute paras or aides? You got to understand the difference. There's a nuanced difference between the definition for a paraprofessional and an aide, okay? And you sort of need to clarify. I think we use it interchangeably in special education as parents, but you need to be mindful that I'd have to say well over 90% of the support staff that are being provided are not paraprofessionals by definition. They are aides. Okay, so just you guys need to. The more you know. Okay, and if I have that NBC symbol across it, okay, the more you know. All right. So, are there any rules on substitute aides? I'm going to put it in there. When your child is with an aide daily, the subs they are placing with her lately are number one, male. And even after we have asked them to have females with her, she requires assistance through the halls and in the bathroom. And number two, the ones they are giving her for a sub can't accommodate her. She's an eloper, and this man was 70 plus with a cane. Okay. All right. Okay. Understand, my kid's an eloper too. And I can also tell you that I am not comfortable, and this is not to be mean at all to any men out there. Okay. But I also have a daughter that cannot communicate with me. She cannot tell me what's going on in her life. It is my job as her father and as her parent to protect her because I understand how vulnerable she is in this world. All right. And I can tell you it is a no-go for male aides with my daughter. No-go. Now she's toileted. She doesn't need any assistance in this area. But at the same time, like I said, she is 20 years old and she is extremely vulnerable, and it is my job to protect her. And that is a no-go. And I wouldn't know. I would not expect a school system to want to put themselves in that situation anyway. And I definitely, as a man serving as an aide, would not want that either. Okay, it just would make it should make anybody uncomfortable just because of the nature and the sensitivity of that situation. All right, this is where accusations come in, and you don't want that. So you want to avoid it at all possible costs and avenues. Okay, now what's the reality in our world? Is there any rules against that? There's not any rules against that. Okay. Here's an aide. Your child needs an aide. You can't dictate to the school system who the support staff is as long as the school system is providing what is comparable or required. Okay, so you can't dictate those things. At the same time, it's got to be within reason. It's got to be within justifications. And I think that's in our world today. I mean, God, I don't know if in our world today, I hate to say that because our world is ass crazy right now. And there's, up is down and down is up right now. We can't even define things in our English language anymore. It's all fluid. So, forget that. Let's just go back how we used to do things. I'll just throw out there, 10 years ago. All right. But at the same time, that is sort of the rule. There's some limitations within the IDEA on what parents can dictate with regards to administrative convenience, which includes staffing. All right, administrative convenience has its limitations, but at the same time, it needs to fall within that realm of reasonableness. And having a male assist your child with toileting is not appropriate. The other thing is if your child is an eloper and the individual cannot do the job description, because that's the real thing. Okay, there are job descriptions, and I've had cases to where we've had to step in where my child or my client, let's say, confined to a wheelchair and required lifting to toilet, and they had an aide that she just was frail and older. All right, could not do it, and to even assume that she could was ridiculous. Now, could she fulfill a role somewhere else? Yes, absolutely. It would just require shifting some people around. So it wouldn't be this ageism thing to where, we're discriminating them because they're older. No, there's other children that could require this kind of support in the classroom. But there's a job description that is posted. And you need to look into the job descriptions posted for this support staff, whether they're paras or whether they're aides. And I can promise you that there's a lifting requirement. There's going to be a requirement with regards to agility as well, or there should. Because we understand that there's children that elope. We understand that there's children that require toileting. That is the role of the support staff and also of the classroom teacher. Okay, in a lot of our situations. So that's the direction you go. But is there a hard and fast rule within the law that prohibits putting the wrong people with the wrong child? No. It is a standard of appropriateness. It is a standard of reasonableness. It is a standard of common sense. that you have to sit there and infuse into these situations. So you need to go back to the team. But the reality is that they can't find aides right now. We can't. We're even in most of our states. We don't have enough special educators. So put that on top of the fact that we don't have enough aides either. But should they be trained, and are they trained, and how are they trained? Who trained them? And you also need to sort of also look at that. Okay. That's where I would start, though, is that they have job descriptions and they must be able to fill those jobs. And having this mail with her where toileting is a necessity, and them going, well, the teacher will take care of that. Well, the teacher is not the aide. All right. That isn't something that shouldn't be interchangeable. And that's just something that they're doing out of convenience. But this is an argument that you can make to get that changed. But especially on the standpoint that depending on your communicative abilities for your child, absolutely inappropriate in my viewpoint. And that is not to demean or offend any male that happens to be an aide. Okay. I'm just telling you, it's not, those of us like myself that have children that have limited ability to communicate, they're extremely vulnerable. And like I said, it's our job to protect them. Okay. Not the school's job. They're supposed to, but I can tell you, I could tell you stories about stuff that's happened in the public school where the school has absolutely gotten away, no liability whatsoever for sexual predators and what has gone on inside these schools.